Hello, this is Nikki in Niagara, coming to you live from Niagara Falls, Canada. Today I'm going to show you how I store my collage supplies, the consumable, we'll say, supplies, and we'll go do a couple of flip throughs of some journals that I'm currently working in. Now, first of all of my journaling, or not journaling, but art collage, I make and work in journals right now for the last year or so. That's what I've been mainly doing, but I've been doing it for years and years and years. And collage is my thing. So all the elements that I use in that, I keep in these canvas boxes that you can get from the dollar store. I brought this one down to show to you. I only have a couple this size. Most of them are twice the height than this. But I got this from a different dollar store than I get the usual ones, and they were smaller. So it was lighter for me to carry down here. So, and I have used my labeler to write collage fodder on there. That's what they all say on my shelves, so I know what's in them. And they are all stuffed full. Before I brought this down, I counted to see how many I have, and I have 9. One I've just started working in, and one I found out was only half full. So really have 7, and I guess we combined the other to be 8, and I'm working on the 9th. So I put them together into like flowish journal-ish type journals. I fold them together. I put everything together and fold it. I don't make a crease in it unless it already has one, like this on the front is a calendar. As a calendar page. And so I fold everything all together, and I put it together with a elastic band. So I do them in sizes. I do these big ones which go on the top afterwards, and I can usually lay 2 or 3 of those up on top of these. And then inside I have these all this way. So we can take one out like this, and I have just randomly put my stuff together, so I have not a clue what's in here. I like doing what I call random art, where I let the supplies and the stuff talk to me and let it put itself together, rather than me saying, okay, I'm going to make a butterfly journal and now I need to go collect all my butterfly things. No, I like to say, here's a bunch of stuff, make something out of it. So that's what my stuff looks like. So this is full of it, and then sometimes on the side I'll have things that don't really fit in. And oh, see here, this is a teeny weeny one, and I put everything in these. We're not finding any fibers at the moment, but they do have fibers sticking out of them. They have this one looks like it might have a few. I wanna make sure it doesn't have elastic around it. What happened to that? Oh, I'm grabbing it out of the middle. I got one here without an elastic. Okay, let's look over here. Well, whatever, this seems to be very sparse on fibers. But with the papers, as I'm putting them together in a flowish flip through, I will use paper clips to clip a bunch of small single items together. Yeah, this one's got paper clips in it. Okay, so I'll just show you. Open this up to the center. Center. Yeah, there we go. So everything's folded in half. I try not to crease it unless it was already creased to begin with, and you don't have to crease everything to put them in these things. And just everything just goes in here. My vegetable boxes, my papers, my collage elements, whatever. And then if I have little things, I will use a paper clip to put it on. Usually it's a stack of things, not just one card. Here we go. Oh, no, this one I seem to have been in the mood to just put one item on stuff. So that's what I do. This is a hairband that I happen to have, so I'm putting it around here. But usually I use the blue elastics that come in the mail. My mailman will usually wrap up my mail with a band like that, one of those thick blue ones. So what I've been doing is I've been working with, I've got 3 journals here to show you. They're small ones, so you know this isn't going to take that long, but it'll take a while. So if you want to watch and see what I'm doing, you will want to go get yourself a coffee or tea or hot chocolate or wine or brandy or scotch on the rocks, whatever it is you would like to sip while you watch me. So now on to the journals. First thing I did was I grabbed one of these out of a box and I went and took it, and I took out a few things that would be used for other things. Let's see, I have one of these things that has all my creepy and crime stuff in it. So I found a few pages that belonged there better. I have a Christmas box, and I took out a couple of things to go into the Christmas box, and I also have a religious box. Those are the only 3 that I have that are themed. The rest of them are no themes whatsoever. It's just those things work better together and are more important to me to be separated. So I took out a few things that belonged in those ones. Then I found a piece of cardstock that would be good for card making, and I found, is there something else? Oh, there was some 4x6s, and next year I'm working on a project with 4x6 cards, so I took those out and I put them in a folder that I'm going to be keeping them in. So that's what I did, and then I took all the papers and I sorted them out into, and I'm going to move this now because we're done with it. You saw how I keep that. So then I started working on the papers, and I pulled out everything that would make pages for my journals, and I came up with these 2 journals right here. And each one, neither of these are finished. They've been made and they've been worked in, but I only used supplies that came out of my Flowish supply package, whatever you want to call it, that I had put together. So obviously I had a bunch of big pages, and I made this one, and then I had smaller pages and this one, and then I would end up with pieces like this that I would collage and make my album from. So let's start with this one because it's almost finished. And these 2 right here are just one signature with a 3-hole pamphlet stitch on it. This one is using, well, I'll talk about that one when we get to it. This one doesn't have a closure on it. I have used a paper clip to clip it together. It's not finished yet, so that may change. Depends on whether it gets chunky. Right now it's not really chunky. I had no fibers in that box, so there's none of that stuff in it. So there. So let's have a look at it. So the covers for this one was made out of a file folder that my son brought home from school with some stuff in it. So it has flaps on the front and the back, and I cut it down to size to fit all the other papers that would be going in it. And then I ended up making some tags with the piece that I cut off here on either side. So we end up with a square. I can't remember how long this was. So, oh no, see, I can't remember because the one I'm working on right now is an 8-inch square, but I can't remember what size this one is. So this was a hockey mask that my son got from somewhere. This was a little thing called with the words "Be Mighty" on it, pair of 3D glasses, and I had a pair of chopsticks from like probably 10 years ago that were still in their package unopened. So I opened it up, and I used the packaging elsewhere in here, and these are the chopsticks. They are joined together so you would snap them and use them, but I distressed them with Tim Holtz Distress inks. Okay, so now let's see. Do I need to zoom you in? I think we can go in a bit. Well, that's going to put you the wrong way. Oh, this way. All right, this is the part that I'm not that so good at, is centering my stuff. Okay, so there we go. I'll zoom in or hold something up if I think it deserves. Okay, so anyways, I had this unopened package right here. Go ahead, get messy, which I thought was a great art saying, but inside of it was a towelette that you would clean your hands with at a restaurant. They gave these out. So I opened this up, and the towelette inside was so old that it was completely dry. So I used it further along in here somewhere as paper, which I dyed with inks. I also, before I started doing anything, like I put the papers together, and then I sprayed them. Some pages that I wanted to, I sprayed them with inks. I stamped on them, and I also gessoed the pages. I had my black and my white out, and I went through and I gessoed anything that I wanted to have gessoed. So I'll tell you now as we go through, and I'll try not to ramble on, but it is hard to get me to stop talking once I start. So there are some ancient things in here, and it feels so good to finally have them out where I can see them and appreciate them. So let's get started. It came with the flap. It's a folder. This was gessoed, and then I used inks and a stencil on the back. These ephemera pieces, you'll see them all. No, I'm not going to be lifting the book up all the time. These ephemera pieces right here were from a sheet of Somerset Studio magazine. These pages came from the pages that they include in the middle of the book, the cardstock images. So I had one sheet of that in this folder. This is a card here that my eldest son, who is like 28, made for me when he was a little kid. I've been saving this, and now it has a place of honor right there. He made me this card. So that goes in there. This is a couple of years ago, my youngest son's school picture, and he's crazy about Mario, so I had a couple of Mario things in my the collage items that I was using. So I stuck them on his picture, and then this is the envelope that the pictures came in, and we have a big 8x10 that we have on the wall, and I handed out a whole bunch of the 5x7s, or a couple of 5x7s, and a whole bunch of the wallet size ones, but you always end up with leftovers, so you'll see his face a few times through here. So I put it inside the bag, which had this glassine front closure, and I left this where it says Proudly Canadian. I left that on there. I thought that was appropriate. So the back is some magazine images. I'm trying to decide if I should zoom you in or not. Maybe if I move you over a little bit, and then, no, it needs to be this way, and zoom just up. Yeah, You can see better, but you can't see the edges. Alright, let's see what we're seeing on this page. Okay, you're seeing all of it. Oh, what about this page? Okay, I think you're seeing it all because my finger only disappears on the edge. See, there it is. The edge is just right here. Okay, there. I'm not going to move the camera now unless I zoom you in or out. Oh, I just moved something. There, let's see. Okay, good. So this is Magazine Images gessoed inks, and Magazine Images from the Deep South. This is a shoe, great big huge shoe on poster board that my youngest did in art class, and I really, really liked it, so I saved it, and I have had it just hanging out with my art supplies ever since, and I put it in here. He did it in pencil. I went over it with a fine liner. Magazine Image. This says Stuff. This is when my youngest was like, I don't know, not 10 years ago, but maybe 8 years ago. He got this Personal Success Award from school, and it's had some blabbering underneath of here. And I took this picture, which shows him holding this card in his hand. So we don't need to keep this in pristine, I can't think of words. Condition, in pristine condition, because we have a photograph of what it looked like originally. And I stuck that there. Now, this next page has a pocket. I had a sheet of Tyvek with The Simpsons all over it. No, I was moving further away. There we go. I think that's better. And I put the pocket on here. I glued it on the sides, and I made a pocket. And this card right here, I just liked. I did nothing to it because it says, which side are you? Are you a pirate or a ninja? And then on the back it tells you about the pirate versus ninja problem. So I liked that, so I just kept it the way it is, and I put it in there. And then on the other side I had these random stickers. This is a picture that my niece made for me like, 10, 12 years ago. She gave me a page with a few drawings on them. I put them all in here. I colored her dress. The rest of it is how my niece drew it when she was like about 8. And made a pocket card out of a tag. The back I left blank. Some of them I left blank and some of them I covered just in case I ever feel like writing something on there. I'll leave it blank, and it says A Curious Life. This is tissue paper that's on it. This card was made from the leftover from the folder that I cut off. And then this is a picture that my son drew when he was, my youngest drew when he was like about 3. So I saved it, and I outlined the picture because his original color wasn't showing through as well. And then that ended up transferring onto the other side because I used a Touch New marker, which bleeds through regular paper like this. That's just ink sprays. Now this is an ancient piece of artwork that I did. There's no date on it, but I did that like forever ago. Like we're talking 6 years ago, maybe, or something like that, and it's just been sitting around. I have one that I did at the same time, and they're both kind of like my blue period, and I used a piece of washi to glue the 2 cards, not glue, but to attach the 2 cards together, and then we'll come across the other one further along in the book. So the 2 of them are held together with the washi. This is the back of it, which was blank. So here's another illustration from my niece. Ink stamp from Unity and Genius Enjoyment Style. Here's another picture my son drew that I went over, and it bleeds through onto the other side. Just leave it that way. Now here's that piece of The Simpsons Tyvek, which I think is really cool. So I just left it so I can look at it. And I had a 4x6 card here that advertises some sort of game. And I just thought it was kind of cool. So that just got glued on down there. So, yeah, no, it's not a pocket, just glued it on. Okay, now the other side of this, and actually this is Tyvek. I don't know if I said that already or not, but it is printed Tyvek. And the other side was blank. So it had this piece down here because originally it was folded into a wallet, but neither my husband nor my son were interested in it, so I took it to use in my crafting supplies, and it ended up having this piece came down here, and normally I would have cut this off, but I thought it would make a good pocket, and it did. So this is inks, and this is a stamp of a mat, and then inside here I have a coaster. I collect beer coasters, and I decided to Zen doodle on that side, and that is the original side. It has beer stain on it. Then the next piece of paper is waxed paper, and I use pieces of waxed paper while I'm journaling. I put them in between the pages while I work so it doesn't get things messy, and I also keep it on top so that here's a piece of wax paper, pretend it doesn't have anything on it, and I would put it down here, then my work can dry and I can keep working in my book, if that makes sense. If it doesn't, I'll try and tell you how to do that later. But anyways, this one ended up getting full, so I saved it and I put it into my book. That's just an image from a magazine, and I added the words designed in England, made in England. This one just has a little bit of collage paper there. We have this dude, and it says Men Without Hats. Magazine image, backed by a piece of scrapbook paper, and I used a stamp that says travel brings power and love back to your life. And that is by Rumi, whoever that is. Magazine image backed onto a pointillism project that my youngest painted back in the day. You can see this this package of claws papers that I pulled out had a lot of old artwork from my kids. So that went there. This is the Tyvek doing another pocket, and we have this guy right here from the magazine. I don't know. I think maybe I need to zoom you out, so no, not in, out, so you can see it there. Okay, so magazine, Dressed for Danger, and then I made this little art card, and it says Ned Pendant. Now that had something to do with jewelry, but I thought that might be his name. This is Ned, Mr. Ned Pendant. And the back I left blank. And this is held on with a little rabbit paper clip. And on the other side we have the Tyvek again, and I painted it with inks. Everything painted in here is with inks, unless it's the gesso. So another random sticker, Silent J and Bob. I have no idea who they are. So put consistency, and I made another art card. I thought this was really nice beach scene here, and I put these two guys on a table and a bird flying through the sky from the Somerset collage page. This is the, oh, you know what? Did we hit the center? Yes, we did. That was the center. So here's where you can see my, I used some twine to do my pamphlet stitch. So here's the other side of the wax paper. I put some magazine images on it and stamped. It's gotten a little, Stay Wild at Heart. It's gotten a little blurred. Now, I really, really liked how what I glued onto the other side, this green showed through, which matches the kind of like turquoisey green shade on this side. So that was serendipitous, and I just love when you do random art like this, the way that serendipity just happens. and things go together that you just never would have thought of if you had tried to plan it. These are a couple of, I have no idea what they are, but I used to, way back in the day, I used to trade with a lady who lived in Korea, and she would send me these cool things like that. Okay, so we have another pocket from the Simpsons Tyvek, and another art card. This one is just a page from a magazine, which I thought was really cool, and I stuck the guy on. That's all I did, didn't do anything else. On the other side, I believe this is a Crunchyroll advertising card, and it said Crunchyroll across here, so I found quality to fit to cover it. And it goes in there, and this has magazine images on it too. Now, this had a hole in it. And instead of putting something over top of it to cover the whole page, the hole is still here. But I picked something to go on the other side where what showed through would be attractive. And this is just a graph pattern. And it says, "I grew up," is what we can read there. So I think that's pretty cool. He could go, this could be this guy who grew up. Okay. Then this is the end of the Simpsons paper, magazine collage, and I wrote down, "is a family." Since the Simpsons are a family, I just thought, and here's the picnic table all set for the family to eat. This is the other side of my son's art. And I had those random stickers of Silent J and Bob, I believe. After I'd used them all up, I took off the backing and I glued it down here. And I thought the gray looked really nice with the blue and pink, which kind of mushed together in a gray shade here. So I picked this black and white, and the dog here is black and white image to go on that page as well. This is the other art card that I made, and it's, you can't see the washi on this one, but there you go. For some reason I had this little clipping from a 1980s magazine about how Michael J. Fox was going to marry Tracy Pollan. This is from, oh, I've written on it. It's from Maclean's magazine, February 29th, 1988. And I just stuck that on there. Now, here's my son's drawing again. This time I did not outline it because it would have bled through onto this, which I had stuck before I noticed that. Now this is my son's pointillism picture, and the rest of the book is not finished. I have some stuff done in here, but I do need to work on the book from this point on. So that's the piece of paper that I used. The back is sprayed with ink. This is the rest of the award, and I used some image. See, it says Shining Star, and he got this in 2014, December 2014. This is actually a page of blueberries, but once I had it cut up into strips, they looked like shining stars to me, so that's why I put it on there. These are dental x-rays for my oldest son, 97, 98, and 99. Here's the other side of the shoe. These pages haven't been worked on except for their base of inks and stencils. This is a different version of the same picture that's in the same envelope on the other side. I haven't done anything to it except put this in the envelope. And then we come to the end and we have our pocket, and here are two blank tags or art cards to work on. This is the serviette, the wet serviette that we got at the restaurant that was so old it was dried. I stuck it down on here and inked it, and it like really soaked it up really well. And the back has a little bit of ink on it. This one was a bookmark, which it was shaped weird on the top, but so I cut that off straight, and I put that serviette on there and on this side too, and some tissue paper. So there's that one. So I just have a little bit more work to do in it, and you guys won't see that one again until it is completely finished. then I'll do a flip through again. So then from the same package of supplies, I was able to put together a small journal. And there's this one. Now my son used to belong to those nerd block. Excuse me, just having a sip, because my throat gets dry from talking. So, he used to belong to those nerd block, arcade block, whatever. He belonged to a few of those a while ago. And I have all the booklets. So this is 2 booklets put together. I took out the staples and I separated the pages so I could put them in whatever order that I wanted to. I did a 3-hole pamphlet stitch on this one as well, and this one is bound by a rubber band that my mailman used. I am going to ink this up so it looks all grungy. So I'm going to open this up so we can see the front and the back. So that is what the cover of the booklet that I used looked like. This side pretty much looked great. Nothing I wanted to do with it. It was a whole bunch of words down here about Loot Crate or Nerd Block or whatever it was, so I put black gesso over that. I may add something because this one is not finished, nowhere near it. And then on the front, there was tons of words on this, so I put black gesso on that and kept the pictures. Batman looks a little alone up there, so I may end up covering him up. Okay. So here is where the chopsticks came from. This is the piece of paper. This is a money envelope. My husband brings those home from work, and this is where I used most of these random stickers. It says Fat Man. And then here is a little thing I got in the mail not too long ago, calendar for 2018. And I've attached that, so oh, just a minute. Why is it not going in? Where did I have it? Oh, there we go. Ah, that's right. I made this a double pocket. So there's a pocket here where this goes, but then there's a pocket here too. So hopefully I can remember that and put something there. Okay, so I grabbed this off of the table at a bar, and I really liked that. It says, tastes like heaven, burns like hell. There was some more words here which I didn't like, so I covered them up with a teeny scrap piece of the Simpsons paper that was left over. On the back of this, I just did a collage and stamped Just Go. Same picture of my son. This paper was decorated this way, but in the middle it had some stuff that I didn't want, so I put the picture over it and kept the little Space Invaders theme there. And this is black gesso, and I did a little collage on it. Used a couple of the images from the Somerset magazine, and it says Stay Wild at Heart. Then, this is a piece of decorative paper. I don't believe it's scrapbook paper. And I have had this one picture of my oldest son when he graduated from university. So, that was some years ago too. So that got stuck down there. And here's another picture from my niece. And it was just the head. So I put it on here and I drew the body. This page, very simple stamping collage of stamps. It feels good to be lost in the right direction. We have some gears going. Now, this I want to show you. While I was working on this, I was using a little, not this brand, but a different brand of little tape roller. I like to use these when I'm working on small projects, and my big ATG gun when I'm working on bigger ones. So I used one up. So when I was done, I took it apart to see if there was anything in it which would be usable. And I ended up with this little piece right here. And that end, I thought, well, that looks like a gear. So I saved that, and this is how the stamp turned out. see right here. That's how the stamp turned out. So I saved that and I used it in a couple of other places in this book. Okay, so this is an envelope. Oh no, it's the Simpsons material again. And I just left it because it's fun to look at and find the characters that, you know, oh, that's the ha-ha guy. And I don't know people's names. Okay, then one of my children made me this when they were little. And this page was gessoed with black gesso. This is a bit of a ripped envelope. That went there. This was a piece of jewelry, a necklace was attached to this. And it says lovesick. I liked those words, and underneath it says long necklace, but I just decorated it as a tag. Put a little bit of my twine that I was using on it. And the back's just black, so I left it the way it was. And I've got a spiral paper clip here. I don't know if you can see that, to keep it attached in place. Alright, now here's the other part of the envelope. That side was ripped that way, and this side had a flap. It was a Hello Kitty, so I glued this down. There's nothing in it at the moment. I made another tag from clothing, a clothing tag, and put some magazine image in the back and the bird, stuck it down. This is the back of a pointillism drawing by my son. It bled through and I thought it just looked nice like that. And here's the front, and here is his passport photo that was taken when he was about 9 or 10. 10, I think, so he looks pretty serious there. This is where I used the majority of the towelette that all got dried out and inked. And then it had a little card, a business card, that was an open up. So I glued it down and I covered this with scrapbook paper, and I had some leftover blank paper right here, Red Wing Heritage, but it just kind of looks like a, I can't tell what it is. It looks like a wooden platform. But yeah, so I glued that and I glued it right into there. So I need to work on this page. This one I'm not sure if it's done it yet or not. Just did some collage stamping. This is a money envelope, Just Go, Simpsons stuff. And inside right here I have a hospital band from my son from 2009. So I just put that in there. Keep that. Haven't done anything there. This was a little cardboard catalog I got from a company I get their stuff from. I glued this catalog image to it, and I have spray inked these 2 pages, gessoed and inked. And then I made this from a clothing tag. Probably, I don't know what it was originally. Put some tea package paper on the front and the back, and this is a corner made from an envelope, which is glued down there. And here, this is a business card, and I liked the pattern around it, but I covered up the words of whose business this is. And I put this down, but look what happened. I think this is just totally totally awesome that this happened, because I did not plan it. This guy right here, it's like his head is finished off with the pattern. His head is actually cut off, and then that is part of the background pattern, and it looks like it finishes his head. So yeah, I add some fibers to that too. Okay, so haven't done anything. I don't think I've done anything in the, well, I've done a few things as we go on, but not that much, so we'll do a quick through. Some patterned paper, inked and stenciled. A letter from my niece. There's the letter. I used some Hello Kitty washi to, I don't know what went on the other side of that. I glued, no, I don't know why the washi is there. I think maybe I just put it there so that it would go with the Hello Kitty stuff. Okay, so there's a piece of paper. Shouldn't be stuck together. Okay, so I haven't worked on that yet. This I've just put a bird. This is the envelope again, haven't done anything to it. I used some stickers from that random sticker sheet. This is from an old vintage card, and I just absolutely love this gold foil and can't wait to work on that. And I used that as my centerpiece. Back in the day, the cards were made from paper, and they were usually a big sheet that was folded into 4. And this was one of those things. So it's actually the blank pages. There's no writing or words or picture or anything on this part. And it was yellow. So here we have some random magazine pictures. This is that serviette again, and that's giving it some texture. I like feeling that. I love the sound of it. Magazine images. Haven't done anything yet. Haven't done anything. This is an envelope. I cut the flap off, so it just makes a pocket, and I've got a couple of art cards in here. These are both, oh no they're not. This one is one of those fake credit cards that they send you. It didn't have any raised lettering on it, so I just covered it with scrapbook paper, and the back is blank. This is just this is from the folder that I made a tag with. Haven't punched it yet. Still have to work on those. I haven't done anything to these pages. Haven't done anything. Gesso. Okay, so here's the rest of that flip out catalog. Like that. I just love this page. I really do. I just love this page, so I'm not going to do anything to it at all. Just going to leave it like that. Hopefully when I work on here, I'll kind of tie in the colors or whatever. And again, with the back, I just loved this image, but it had had like a stamp and my address and their address. This was how they mailed it to me. So I covered up all that stuff with gesso and ink and stuff and just went around. So I guess this is what they call, what are they calling this now? I think they're calling this reverse collage, where you start with the picture on the page and then you work around it. So I like how that turned out. This is another money envelope and another card. I made this from a fake credit card. Put paper on both sides of it this time. So I haven't done anything to those. Oh yeah, this is another pointillism picture that my son made. I just left it that way. This was some really cool Captain America page out of one of the booklets. I really loved the colors of this, the grungy red and blue in the background, but I don't like Captain America. So I had this picture in my collage package there that I was working with, and so she went there. Much better than Captain America. This is the back of the pointillism page, but I haven't done anything to it yet. This is, now this looks like feet, doesn't it? I just gessoed over the part of the page that it didn't like, that had stuff and writing and words and pictures and whatever that were just like gross, and I didn't want them there, but I loved this color of purple. So I will somehow bring that page together. Haven't done anything. We'll be leaving it as it is. Haven't done anything. And then on this side, I put a Lindor chocolate package on there because I just really love that. It's nice. And I black gessoed over here, and we'll see what I end up doing with that page. So remember now that I started with one of these. That was about this size too, the one I used. So I started with it, and I got these two, and this is what is left over. That's all I have left over from it. So I feel so good about having made those two journals from that great big pile of scraps and collage fodder and, you know, who knows what. And this is what I have left, like some usable things. I cut out some words which were usable. I ended up with one of the birds left off of the Stampington page, a few images, and some leftover scraps of paper. This is the stuff that I think I can use and I keep, and I threw away all the rest of the scraps that weren't good for anything. They're just teeny little pieces. So that's what I did for that one. How long are we? Oh my goodness, we're 45 minutes. Should I stop and do the other one afterwards? Okay, I will. Yes. Okay, so we're going to stop there, and I will upload another video which shows you the one that I am currently working on. So this is part 1. Thank you for staying with me this long if you did, and give me a thumbs up if you made it this far. If you haven't already, please subscribe down below, and I'd sure like to listen to any of your comments. Okay, bye!